right, we're in a little bit of a low period. Free agency's coming. That's going to be huge. Finding out who we tag, we don't tag before that's going to be huge. But even though this is a little bit of a low period, there is a ton of good info, interesting stories out that I'm going to cover today. I'm going to go over a few major players in the Dolphins media, what they were saying, kind of remark on that. There's a few interesting points in that, I know I'm a small guy, they're a big guy, and a lot of people hear from what they are saying, and so I want to talk about that. Some I agree with, some I don't. Cap allocations. I put together a little graphic, basically all the money spent on each position group and where it ranks, and it is very, very, very interesting. Going to talk about the Tua contract, the contract or not the contract with Tua. It's getting closer and closer. I think it's going to definitely happen, just how much. And then I'm going to talk about Weaver. Anthony Weaver we signed here. It looks like Wilkins is going. I've been saying that for a bit. I don't think he's going to, I'm almost 100% he's not coming back. But because of the scheme that Weaver runs involving the nose tackle, it can mitigate a lot of his losses, a lot of Wilkins' loss when he leaves if we choose right. And the nose tackle is a little bit easier to find. So I'm going to talk about that. Then I'm going to go over some free agents, mostly surrounding the offensive line and tight end. There's some news there. So that's going to be the whole spiel. I'm going to put chapters. I haven't done it for a while. Just been so, it's hard doing all this by myself. But my energy's coming back up, so I'm going to start putting that so you can see all the links, and I'm going to break it up and all that stuff. Anyway, so I was going over to the Twitterverse and some of the other Dolphins media that I like to read, and I was getting a good feeling. It may not be good for you guys to hear some of the stuff, but I have been saying this for a while, and it's been real tough trying to hold on to these points because it was basically me against the world. Tupac there. And it was hard to hold on to because you wonder, are you crazy? Are you wrong? Oh, my Lord, I would have to own up to failing in this evaluation. And then you're like, if I am right, how come no one else is seeing it? But now I'm hearing more and more the voices rising on a lot of these points. The tight end, we need a tight end. I've been talking about that for some time. The O-line, it's not the greatest ever. Supposedly, from what I'm hearing, we're going to need to help with that one. Last year was a peak talent season. The cap hit is real, and it's coming. And even some people are saying Greer is not the greatest GM ever. He's made mistakes. Wilkins will walk is another one. Speed of throw at Tua wasn't by choice. It was forced. And it really was needed to help this offensive line. So all this talk is starting to rise, and people are starting to agree with it now. And I think it's clear these points were true. I was right on them. I was wrong on all the things. It's not like I'm right on everything. But the good news is a lot of this stuff can be resolved if we handle it correctly. But I'm happy to see that the Dolphins fans are finally getting some accurate information in regards to these areas. So I just want to go over that quick. I'm going to go over Barry Jackson right here. He said in an article, Fangio had an unwillingness to blitz Jones and Holland. And it's clear, yeah, he's right, 100% right. Barry Jackson's 100% right. But Barry Jackson kind of slanted that he was stubborn and he didn't want to blitz Jones and Holland. And that's wrong. And people who say that, they're wrong. Because you have to understand, Fangio has a system. It's not the Flores system. It's not a system where you blitz the safeties because the safeties are key to maintaining the pass coverage. It's about pass coverage. And since we broke the Dolphins' record for sacks, I don't think this is relevant. Jones was on his team. He was injured. He was not a main piece coming into this thing. There's no way that you're going to hire Fangio and expect him to change his system. The system that he had is about keeping guys up high, man quarters, sometimes just quarter zones. Sometimes they do come up and they play different zones, but those safeties are there to make sure things are not happening over the top. And it's his system. And it's about not blitzing. And Fangio adjusted a ton. The amount of blitzing he did this season to get where he got was way more than he wanted to do. And that opens up some weaknesses in Fangio's system. Right or wrong, whether you like it or not, everybody's got a style. everybody feels comfortable in this. There's nobody who can call it and do it all. If you had Spagnuolo, who's also on the blitz, and said, hey, no, we can't blitz, we need to play zone all day, he would suck, and he would say he sucks. Everyone's got their own thing. Did Fangio have the best season ever? No, but he made huge strides in a lot of areas. And the blitzing part is not something I'd even remotely consider a negative point on Fangio, because he would have had to change everything. And you got a complicated system and you're trying to figure it out. You can't even make it more complicated and add other things. So I disagreed on that. Now, Omar Kelly said McDaniel was the best coach he'd ever witnessed. He had 2 winning seasons, 2 postseason appearances. I mean, that's his opinion. I'm not saying McDaniel's not going to be the best, but he was given the most resources of any coach. And when I said with Tua, you have to look at Tua and then evaluate the context of the offensive line and surrounding pieces in order to value. You just don't look at what he's doing. It's the whole thing. So McDaniel has got us 2 postseason appearances. Hopefully we get a win next year. But he was given the most amount of ammo. Where conversely, if you look at Flores, he was given really very little and stripped away going into his 3rd season, and he had 2 winning seasons. Not to say Flores was the guy or whatever, but I'm trying to be, fair coverage here. He also said Greer has no ego and easy to work with. Greer cut Van Noy despite Flores. Fact. That's ego. It's not that he has no ego. I'm sure he might appear like he has no ego. There's nobody in this business, including Kelly, including me, that have no ego. There's no way. That was ridiculous. Is they're still painting Greer as this like angelic being, which is not the case at all. Easy to work with, depends. I'm sure some guys he's very easy to work with. I'm sure some reporters love him. I'm sure, it's just like everybody else. You get along with some people, you don't. But he's had problems. Gailey, there was problems there. He wasn't even asked for Tua to start. Flores, obviously, there was problems there. Fangio was problems there. You can look, Alexander, who was with us, he was let go. There's lots of guys that had problems with Greer. He's not no ego and easy to work with. Depends. And is that the best thing? Is that the best thing? It's not about, easy to work with. The highest level geniuses in the world are not easy to work with. Look, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Patton, on and on. These guys, it's about success. And then, obviously, you got to factor in all that stuff there. So I was disagreeing on. The last time, and this was a good one. The last time the Dolphins had a top 6 offense back-to-back seasons was Dan Marino. Tua's led the 1st and 6th overall offense. I thought that was a really good one. I didn't know that. That's a good stat. And so, it doesn't mean what exactly what it says, but it does say that Tua has done a tremendous job leading this offense. Is it all on him? No. Is all the failure all on him? No. But he's a piece of the puzzle, and he's done wonderful as far as league rankings, 1st and 6th. If he had a great offensive line and a tight end, what would it have been like? I don't know. Chris Kaufman. I didn't notice, and I didn't know on 2 levels, and it's a shame for me. Chris Kaufman did a really good job. Again, he showed, I don't know if it was his tweet or somebody else's showing Shanahan thought that if he scored a touchdown, that's why he took the ball first. If he scored a touchdown, then Mahomes wouldn't get a chance to go down the field, but that's not how the new rules are. I didn't know the new rules changed today. I still thought if you scored the touchdown on the first drive, game was over. But it's not. You drive down the field, you get a touchdown, the other team gets a chance to tie. So he really Shanahan should have taken the 2nd drive, because then you get 4 down territory because you got to go for it. And so it was a bad move by Shanahan to take the ball. And obviously Shanahan didn't know the rule. I didn't either, but I'm not a professional coach. But Chris Kaufman set me straight on 2 points with that. So I like that. Daniel Ofusi. Dolphins position review. Does Dolphins need to make a wide receiver a priority? There's still this talk of slot receiver, tight end. I didn't really get to see what his take was on it, but I'm still shocked, flabbergasted that look, if you did the right tight end is not there in the draft, you can't take him. But the tight end position is much, much higher than receiver when you got 2 huge amounts of investments in Hill and Waddle. So I didn't think it was, I'm not positive. It was just it's still an ongoing thing, but I think clearly tight end is the thing. So Last part, I'll get on to the other stuff, the cap allocations, all that stuff. I'm going to start live again March 8th. Anybody who wants to get on, email me at curtis@aceperhead.com. You can come on, say whatever you want to say. Just don't curse. I don't like cursing. And different opinions, that's fine. Just be respectful about it. And come on, stay for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, the whole show. I don't care. Enjoy. I like having people on the channel other than me. So, and then the last thing is, I got a good news. My man Tommy at Mafia Sports Report, he won $12,000 on a parlay for $25 at the Super Bowl. So happy for him. Can't believe it. I wish I had done it too. $12K, $25. Man, that's a big win. I'm very happy for you, Tommy. All right, so now let's get into the real meaty news. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, take a look at this image here. This is the Miami Dolphins cap allocations. Now we're negative $52 million. The cap's going to go up, and you're going to get a portion of that off, anywhere between 20 and 30 million probably, depending on how much it rises, but you're still in the negatives. So you're working from down under, and then you got to add a lot of stuff in there too, as far as pushing contracts back. But you're a negative, and this is where you have your money involved right now. And I was a little shocked in a couple of these. Quarterback 16th, middle of the road. But if that's because of the 5th-year contract, the 5th-year option. So if Tua gets the long contract, this will drop and go to the 30s because it's probably all going to get pushed to next year. But this thing's going to balloon big time next year. So keep that in mind. Now, running back, fullback, 5th most. And this bothers me for a few reasons, because when you compare it to the O-line investment, the O-line makes the running backs happen unless you're Barry Sanders or Walter Payton or something like that. Wide receiver, and the color coding here is yellow is middle of the road, red is most, top 10 in the league, and then orange is bottom. So you're going frugal on the orange, you're kind of running middle of the pack on the yellow, and you're high on a hog on the red. Got it? Receivers, obviously we knew. I thought it was going to be higher than this, but it was only 7th, only. So we've got heavy investments in running back, heavy investments in wide receiver. Tight end, 21st. O-line, like you wouldn't expect, 27th. Terrible. We got to raise that. I think people agree now. D-line, 21st. That's a little low too. Considering, we got one guy on the roster really, except in Peely. Linebackers, which we considered edge, with obviously 3rd. That's high, man. Consider that Chubb and Phillips will either, Chubb will be late arrival, big time late arrival, and then he'll have to acclimate. Phillips, if, all goes well, he'll arrive in September and then slow to acclimate. That's a lot of money for guys that are not coming out of the chute hot. DB 2nd, that's a lot of money. And then Holland's going to be a free agent next year. So that is very intriguing. And then obviously kicker, punter, long snapper, 10th. So you look, DL, OL, and tight end, that's where your physicality comes from. Obviously the scheme matters, but the bodies is where the physicality comes. We are light on the physicality and the blockers and the guys in the trenches, and we need to fix that and kind of adjust some of these other numbers, wouldn't you say? I think that's going to be key to see how this levels out and plays out in order for us to compete. So now I want to get into Weaver. Weaver runs a lot 3-4. It's not anymore 3-4, 4-3 as Flores taught us. It's about rolls, multiples. So you're going to see 4-3, but you're also going to see a 3-4 where you have that big nose tackle, the guy to line up on a 0 and a 1 technique, suck up 2 guys. Those guys are on pass rushes, and pass rushes is where you get a lot of value. So the fact that Wilkins is leaving, he would be great if we had that nose tackle and we had Sealer and we had Wilkins who could play the 3 and the 5 and you got a big guy inside. It would be great. But likely Wilkins is going to leave, find a job someplace else. But the nose tackle you can find, if we trade back in that first round and get a third or a fourth, you can find a big guy to fit in there, and that can offset a lot of the problems that we have with Wilkins leaving. Because Sealer's much better. You can see, I've shown in video where he gets hit when he's inside and the hip buckles. He's very tall and a little bit slender, and it's hard to hold up inside with those bigger guys, shorter guys who got the leverage. But as you bring him out in a 3 and 5, he does better. So he's going to be in that 3-4 a lot. With Chubb and Phillips on the outside and Baker and Long behind him. And he'll play that 3 and 5. And I think it's going to be great for him. And then you get the big guy inside. Then you got to find the other DN, which could be Peely maybe, and obviously some other guys. But you can get that nose tackle. You can find an old vet to fill that up. Remember, we had Jenkins for a while. So that's really good news on that front. Now, to a contract. I think Omar Kelly does a great job helping people understand, it's about the guaranteed money. It's not really about the salary, but it is. Because the total you're paying for that year is the salary and the guaranteed money. They can cut you at any time. They only got to pay the guaranteed money. And so the real value is the guaranteed money. But the number on the books each year does include the salary. And the good news, you could push the guaranteed money back, but then eventually that compounds with the salary and it makes it untenable to keep that player unless you want to keep a ton of money. So I think that Tua is going to get a big contract. I'm hearing he wants to get, big money. Now, ultimately, it only matters about the guarantees. You can structure it where you can cut the guy in 3 years if he doesn't play out, but we can't do that. We're at negative 52. Minus the cap. So we're not going to be able to, it's going to be at least a 4-year deal where, you can escape after 4 years because you got to push most of that money into 25, 26, and 27. So it will be very interesting, but it looks like he wants big money. He knows. Now, people are talking about getting rid of Tua, but you have to understand, Chris Greer wants to keep his job. Ross raised 30% the value of the seats. He wants to keep fans coming. There's people who don't like Tua. They don't really like him. Most people are kind of middle him. And then there's a strong element that love him. And it is going to be a rep hit. It could be a problem where there's not as much shine on the Dolphins in a year where the prices went up. And they're going to struggle to win this year. Not saying we can't, but it's not going to. The peak talent was last year. So if you move off Tua and you get another guy in here, and it has no success, then you're going to get a double whammy. So I think that Greer and Ross know the ability to sell through Tua, his value as far as a commodity, and then they're going to also include all the quarterback stuff, and they're going to keep him long term. I think it's part of the whole thing. So I'd expect Tua to be here for a long time. I don't know what the contract is. I don't know how it's ultimately going to play out, but I think that's the way it's going to be. Now, free agency this year, there were opportunities, but we're broke. We can't really be buyers. We're going to pick from the bottom of the barrel, unless we totally go hog wild and push all these guys into the future. But that's going to be scary when you got guys 32, 33 making guaranteed money of 20 million plus. That's disastrous. Now, Hunt is a guy we got to tag, we got to keep. That's a lot of money though to eat up for our situation. I like also, if we can't get him, maybe a guy like Onwenu is out there who I really, really like and can play tackle. So you could have him at guard if he's willing to play there, pay him like the tackle, which a lot of tackles are making close to what these top guards are making. Play him at guard. Jackson has problems, gets injured. You can put him out there. There's a lot of flexibility and a maybe backup plan to Hunt. I don't like Zietler too much. Big guy, but he's 33. This is a defender that I put on it. DJ Reader's out there. Could you imagine DJ Reader on this team? I don't know if we can afford him, but that guy is so good. 350, moves like the wind. Him and Sealer, and then Phillips and Chubb when they're healthy on the outside. I love Reader so much. I don't think to sign him back. I don't know what he wants. All the guys out there, Dalton Reisner, but I don't know. He's good. He's probably going to be a little bit cheaper. Might be a guy out there for the left guard position. The last part is a tight end. Schultz was a guy I hoped we could get. He can block, he can catch, he would be perfect for this offense, and it would definitely help us out, help too in so many ways. You can see all the tight ends I've been saying, now I see it all over. Oh, well, no kidding. Tight end is the security blanket, creates physicality, creates mismatches, and a lot of teams have two of them. And we need a guy, but it looks like Schultz is going to be going back to the Texans. He wants to go back to the Texans. They're ready to hand out some money. That kind of stung. I was hoping somehow we could move the money to keep him, to get him and keep Hunt. But I think he's off the table. So that's where it's at right now, guys. I do think there's plenty of ways that we can get ourselves to go where we want to go and to do what we got to do, which is build these trenches and find a tight end spot. But there's a lot of holes. There's very little money. This Tua thing will set the table. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Gerson, catch you next time. Be well. Go Phins. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.